We'll just acknowledge the territory in which we gather is the traditional territory of the Mi'kmaq people. We pay our respects to them of this territory, past, present, and future. Declare a conflict of interest. Anyone on any of the items on the agenda have a conflict of interest? If so, declare it now. If not, we'll move on to approval of the agenda. So does anyone want to add anything to the agenda or change the order or anything like that? So
No,
I'll ask
good.
for a motion for approval of the agenda.
I'll move it as presented in the package.
Okay, second?
I'll second it. Okay.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary,
Aye.
contrary minded? Motion carried. Okay, we'll move into the minutes of our last meeting of March 11th, 2020. Any revisions, omissions, or deletions that we need to, any changes we need to make to the minutes? Anybody would like to see made to the minutes of our last meeting?
I'll move the minutes as they stand.
Okay, thank you. Second?
I'll second them.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, we'll move into next item is safety services. We'll turn it over to Chair of Safety Services, Councillor Derek Smith.
Okay, good morning, everybody. We have some statistics here for you this morning in regards to safety services. The fire department, pretty standard month. Few things we had for March. We had 2 fires, fire alarms 5, motor vehicle accidents 2. It's just a standard month. The only thing I'll bring to your attention is outside assistance to other departments. It's way down, and that's probably because of everybody being isolated in their own community. Not working during daytime, they're able to respond to their own calls. Any questions about fire department? Okay. We'll move on to the RCMP report. RCMP, they wrote 11 tickets during the month. 6 for speeding, 2 were driving while suspended, and 2 for driving with cell phones on, and 1 non-moving violation. They had 2 motor vehicle accidents. I was talking to Glenn Dudley this morning. They are, as a force in Stratford, working outside of their homes right now for social separation. There is 1 person at the RCMP station at all times for the public, and they're saying he's seeing a slight increase in domestic violence. That's only because of people being inside of their homes all the time. There's nothing charged for either. They had a number of mental health calls that they looked after, and there was 31 criminal record checks done for the month. The morale in the RCMP is quite high. They're getting along fine, and they're very happy that there is no social gathering of people that they had to look after in regards to violations. Any questions for the RCMP? Okay, I've never heard anybody. Am I still on the line? Yes?
Yeah, we're hearing you, yeah.
Okay, no, okay, that's good, that's good. Transit numbers are down because of the isolation that we are facing. They're 18% decrease in their numbers for transit. On Saturdays, they have about 25 riderships per day. And under the student program, students driving for free, they had 62 for the month. So a decrease of 18% is not that bad for transit. But again, they are down, and it's only because of the situation that we are facing. We did have 1 concerned resident call me the other day. Apparently, there is a coyote in the Bellevue Road area. The coyote is walking on property, but staying on property. So I have a suspicion that they are hunting for pups or kits, fox kits, newborn babies right now, and they're they're not leaving the area. I don't know who we contact for about that, but we should look into it, I suppose, because the coyotes are becoming quite familiar with the areas and not moving on when they see people. And Humane Society, I have no report from them, only obviously because they are closed down. Any other questions?
No, that's great.
Okay. And I do have a resolution here this morning. Do you want me to do that now?
Yeah, please proceed, Derek.
All right then. Town of Stratford resolution number SS001-2020 transit mini buses. Whereas the City of Charlottetown, on the behalf of the Capital Area Transit Coordinating Committee, CATCC, submitted an application to the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program, ICIP, for 2 minibuses to be acquired in 2019 and 2020. And whereas the pricing was higher than previously budgeted, and an updated application was submitted to ICIP for additional funds, requiring as outlined in the capital approval by resolution SS0015-2019, transit minibuses, December 11, 2019. As a result, Crestline Coach Limited was asked to extend their pricing for 120 days to accommodate the new timeline. And whereas there was only one bid submitted for the purchase of 2 minibuses by Crestline Corporation Limited in the amount of $408,577.74, and whereas there is a budget of $472,500, HST included, to allow for the transit minibuses that offer greater accessibility for transit riders, and that included electronic fare boxes for improved ridership data. Be it resolved that the tenant from Crestline Coach Limited for the purchase of 2 minibuses in a total of $408,577.74, HST and delivery included, be accepted. Be it further resolved that the town contribution to this project will be $18,080.52, HST included, with the remaining expenses covered by the approval of ICIP funding, the City of Charlottetown, and the Town of Cornwall. The town contribution of this project will be expended out in the 2020-2021 capital budget. And this is being moved by myself, Derek Smith.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Do I have a seconder?
Seconded by Steve Glant.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Okay, any discussion? Anybody have any questions or comments on this motion?
The original amount,
I beg your pardon?
Jeremy? I think Jeremy Crosby, what was I was just wondering how much it increased from the original. Not that I'm on board with it. I was just wondering what the increase was.
The original amount was around $270,000, Jill, but they didn't have the low platform for the wheelchairs to make them more accessible. And these buses are more like a traditional transit bus, but still on the mini side of the version. So there was quite a few more amenities that were added to these buses to make them more usable within the fleet. So it was around $200,000 more than we originally had in the budget. But overall, our budget for the transit fleet allowed for the increase. So that's why we went with the better class of buses.
Thanks, Jeremy.
No problem.
Any other comments or questions?
I don't see anything in that budget with Ward 3. Is that destined for Ward 3, Derek?
I'll let Jeremy handle that question. I'm not quite sure.
The intention is to use these buses for the pilot program in Ward 3. But because of the pandemic and the slowdown in the workforce with the manufacturing of some of these buses, it could take a little longer to get them into the fleet. So we may have to look at some alternatives for Ward 3, Gary, or Councillor Clark.
Thank you.
Yeah, and some of those things that we talked about already, we'll sort of be looking at that, I hope, the ride sharing option and that sort of thing to kind of fill in the gaps as best we can until this situation is resolved. Okay, any more comments or questions? If not, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Okay, was there anything else, Councillor Smith?
No, I mean, obviously we're in extraordinary times here with the pandemic. I just wanted to hand out that the RCMP are doing a good job for us. I'm happy with the service we're being provided, and of course the fire department, EMS, and everybody else. Everybody's the comment made this morning that the people of Stratford are taking this pandemic seriously, and they are following the orders that is being given by press conference. So I'm very pleased and happy to say that we've had no incidents of people crowding on the beaches or crowding in walkways and stuff like that.
Okay. Okay, I do want to clarify something from last meeting. I made a allusion to the fact that the RCMP had, in comparison to the Charlottetown Police Force, had a comparable number of tickets for a period of time, and I want to retract that because in conversation with a counselor and in conversation with the commanding officer of the RCMP, the only way to make a fair comparison would be to look at it on a per policeman basis because of the disparity in number of policemen, in the size, et cetera. So I retract that comparison, and I'd like the record to show that. Okay.
Mayor, thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. No, it's something that I shouldn't have done it in the first place, but since I did, I'll just retract that. So we'll move on then to finance and technology. I'll ask Chair of Finance and Technology, Councillor Gail McDonald, to take the floor.
Thank you, Your Worship. So due to the pandemic, we did not have our Finance and Technology Committee meeting this month. So I just have two resolutions to read today. Let me start with one.
Certainly.
Thank you. Resolution number FT 011-2020, Town of Stratford line of credit increase. Whereas the Town of Stratford currently has a line of credit of $750,000 with the Provincial Credit Union, and whereas the construction of the emergency services facility is complete, and the payout of the holdback release on the facility will exceed the line of credit, and whereas the town is waiting for the receipt of government funding towards the facility for energy efficiency, gas tax funding, and the capital expenditure HST rebate under the Municipal Capital Expenditure Grant, and therefore needs to extend the line of credit from $750,000 to $1,250,000 until June 30th, 2020. Whereas the increase to the line of credit is $500,000, is within the 10% capital debt threshold of the Town of Stratford. The current borrowing limits for the Town of Stratford, based on our total assessed tax base, which is $829,534,696 times 10%, equals $82,953,469, of which we are using $8,839,771 as of March 31st, 2019. And be it resolved that the line of credit for the Town of Stratford with the Provincial Credit Union be increased from $750,000 to $1,250,000 until June 30th, 2020. So moved.
Okay, do I have a second?
Derek Smith will second.
Thank you. Okay, this was also the resolution should also show that this was discussed at Committee of the Whole yesterday. So, and I believe there was approval to go forward to the resolution today. So with that, is there any discussion or any comments or questions on this resolution?
Your Worship, it was brought up on the call yesterday that we may want to extend that till the end of December. I'm not sure if a decision was made, but I did forget to bring that to Kim's attention. I never made a note of it. So if you want to make a friendly amendment to extend that, that's fine. I don't know if Kim has anything to say about it, but I don't think it really would make much difference one way or the other, and that would give us a little more security if you think we need it.
Okay, I'll ask the mover to consider that.
Yeah,
yes.
I'd like to put that on the.
Just a second, Derek. Derek, just a sec.
Okay.
Gail's got the floor.
Yes, Your Worship, I'll make that amendment to the resolution to extend the line of credit till the end of December 2020.
Okay, and the seconder?
I'll second. Derek
No,
Smith.
but who, the original seconder, do they agree with the friendly amendment?
I believe I was the seconder, Derek Smith,
Oh, okay, sorry.
and I agree to this.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so with that, any further discussion or comments?
The one question, Your Worship, this amount that we have here, Kim, are you satisfied that this is enough in these times and cost increase of 750,000? Should we consider making this a permanent thing, or are you happy with the 750,000?
I'm happy with the 750,000. Extending it by the 500,000. It's just a timing issue due to the construction of the emergency services facility final holdback release. So I think we'll be fine after this.
Okay. There's nothing in the future then we might have to do this again. Okay, I'm happy then. Thank you.
Okay, so are there any further comments or questions? If not, we'll be voting on the amended resolution showing the new date to be, I believe it's December 31st, 2020. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, with that, I'll call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Contrary minded? Motion carried.
Thank you, Your Worship. The second resolution is number FT012-2020, withdrawal of solar panel project, Stratford Town Centre. Whereas the town of Stratford had allocated gas tax funding towards solar panels to be placed on the Stratford Town Centre, project number 21-4-17, and whereas engineers were hired to review the structure of the Stratford Town Centre to find out if solar panels were feasible. After analysis, it was determined that solar panels were not feasible for the town center roof, and we would not be proceeding with the project. And whereas the conditions for the gas tax funding is that if a project does not go ahead, the funds allocated to that project are to be paid back to the gas tax allocation. And whereas the town of Stratford had incurred $8,698 on this project, be it resolved that project number 21-4-17 solar panels Stratford Town Centre be withdrawn from the town of Stratford's gas tax funding allocation, and the funds of $8,698,000 be allocated back to the town of Stratford's gas tax bank account. So moved.
Hey, do we have a seconder?
I'll second that, Councillor.
Okay, thank you, Councillor McDougall. Okay, and this resolution was also discussed yesterday at our Committee of the Whole meeting, so it was agreed to move forward to resolution. So is there any discussion, any comments or questions on this resolution?
I just have a quick one, Mayor.
Yeah, go ahead.
In the resolution, it says there's the whereas the town of Stratford had incurred $8,698 in this project. We haven't incurred that. That was the proposed expenditure, wasn't it?
No, we have incurred that.
So that's what we incurred. That's what it cost the engineers to do the assessment, or?
Yeah. Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We didn't know until after we did the assessment that we wouldn't be able to go ahead with the project.
Gotcha.
So the province or infrastructure secretariat requires us to put that money back into the New Deal bank account. So we end up having to eat that, unfortunately, that amount that we spent. We can't recover the New Deal because the project didn't proceed.
Wow. Okay.
We tried to convince them otherwise, but we weren't successful.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
So sorry. So where is the 8,000 coming from? That's coming out of the gas tax isn't going to cover that?
That's right.
Is that what we're saying?
Yeah. That's correct, yeah.
Wow.
It'll just end up in our budget as an expense that we didn't budget for. It's not this year, it's previous year budget. It's already there booked, but.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay, any other comments or questions? If not, we'll call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried.
That's it for me, Your Worship. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Councillor McDonald. Okay, we'll move to Planning, Development and Heritage. Chair of Planning, Development and Heritage, Councillor Jill Burridge.
All right, I'll just, we haven't had a meeting either due to the current circumstances. I'll just bring up a few points on the planning side that have been, decisions that have been made throughout this. And one being that all public processes governed by the Planning Act have been suspended until further notice. As I said, the Planning Board and Heritage Committee meetings have been canceled indefinitely. And the public meeting for March 26th, of which we had two rezonings that were going to be put forward, were canceled and probably postponed. We're keeping in chats with developers on that. Also, applications are still being received and processed, but no building permits are being issued. Inspections are still happening where social distancing is possible, and all are being screened before inspection is scheduled. And I think that's it from the planning side. I do have one resolution that I have, unless anyone has any questions on those points.
Derek Smith, you're still accepting applications for developments when our pandemic thing is lifted. How many plans have we gotten so far? Is it picking up, or is it slowing down, or what's going on there?
I'll have Kevin speak to that.
Kevin Reynolds, are you on the call?
Yeah, I'm on here, guys. We have a little spreadsheet going here just to try and give everybody an indication of where we are. So this time last year, I just have to flip between screens here. This time last year, we issued approximately $5 million worth of development up until the end of March. And pending so far this year, we have about $6.1 million worth. We just can't, we only have a little over $1 million issued. That was the only stuff that was issued before we stopped issuing permits. So we have a fair number of development applications in that we're processing, just over $6 million worth.
That's good news.
So I think Jill's question was, if maybe I misunderstood, but what are the number of building permits that are currently in the works right now, Kevin, that are being held up because of this?
We are up to, we have DP 021, so we're 21 applications received so far this year, and we have 4 additional ones that we don't have all the information for yet. So we're at about 25 received so far, but we've only issued, I believe we've only issued 4, Steve, so far.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Jill? Okay.
If there's no further questions, I have a resolution.
Okay.
And it has to do, sorry?
Please proceed.
Yeah, it has to do with the province bringing in new Building Code Act regulations. So where we just did our building bylaw, there's just a few things we need to correct in our building bylaws, because the new Building Code Act regulations, they went with 2017 when we expected 2015. So we just have to do a couple little corrections within our bylaw to align with the province. So I'll start number PH 007 2020, bylaw number 50-A, general amendments, Town of Stratford building bylaw number 50, first reading. Whereas since the building bylaw number 50 has been approved, the province has since approved the Building Code Act regulations, and the latest version of these regulations have created a couple of conflicts with our building bylaw number 50, which need to be corrected. Be it resolved that building bylaw 50-A, a bylaw to amend the building bylaw number 50, be hereby read and approved first time. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Planning Heritage, oh, well, I guess not, because, but it does bear the recommendation of Committee of the Whole. Because we didn't have a planning meeting on this.
So there was no email poll done on this.
No.
Okay, so that should be corrected then. Yeah.
Yeah, we should correct that.
Should just be removed, Councillor Bird. Sorry, that should be removed altogether.
Okay, removed altogether. So I will just say so moved.
Okay, seconder?
I'll second. Councillor McDougall, I'll second that.
Okay, seconded by Councillor Darren McDougall. Okay, any comments or questions on this? If not, we'll move to the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Okay, the next item on the agenda is.
So
oh,
I have to, yes, so I guess that's all I have to do there. Yeah, we're not doing any more readings today. That's right.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. I really appreciate the fact that the staff are continuing to work on processing building permits up to the point of actually issuing them. We're not able to issue them, but the work is continuing, and I think it fits in with our overall philosophy of trying to keep the continuity of government going, and really providing putting ourselves in a position so whenever this crisis is over, that we're able to really get people back working and get the economy going again. So thanks for all the work you're doing there in the planning department, and really and with your work, Councillor Burridge, because I think this is really important that we do position ourselves to be able to, really not have a big delay whenever the lockdown is lifted.
I take no credit. That's entirely the planning department and the work they've done. And of course, Carter with the building code and keeping that in check too. It's been a big project.
Great, thank you. With that, we'll move to infrastructure. The Chair of Infrastructure, Deputy Mayor Gary Clow.
Thank you, Your Worship. Work continues within the infrastructure section. The wastewater treatment plant are continuing their work there. The wastewater collection system to Charlottetown continues. I believe they're working on the east side of the bridge at the moment, working on the retaining wall. Structural work under the bridge required in preparation for the pipe installation will begin shortly. I'm not sure if they started that yet, but they're planning on it. I know that Jeremy's working on getting a company out of New Brunswick to come to PEI to do some sludge removal at the existing plant. So I know he's working on that. The emergency facility continues to operate. Everybody's on board now. We have the RCMP, the fire department, and EMS working out of that building. And I know that they're still working on some discrepancies that are still there that they're going to try to rectify. I know that the Coles is working on revising the preliminary design for the sewer lift stations. I believe that's continuing. And I know that SCADA software and system control, Bellinger Electric are working on the antenna installation. I see them in different areas of the town, so I know that they're working on that and hope to have it finished by the end of April. Subdivisions, developments, I know that a lot of them are still working with Marshall McPherson, and I know a lot of them are still proceeding. The utility staff is extremely busy with maintenance and adjustment to the plant and pump stations, cleaning and maintenance. They're going all out there. They're also busy updating the work plans and filing systems. The utility staff is also coordinating the work that is taking place at the wastewater treatment facility, land for the installation of the new pumping station. And I just want to say that a big thank you to all of infrastructure and all of the town that are still working and keeping things going, because it's very important that we have our sewer and water. And it's good to see that they're still working on the system at the bridge. So a big kudos to everyone at the town that's working and keeping things going daily, day to day. So that's my report, Your Worship, and I have a resolution unless there's some questions.
Just before you proceed to the resolution, I just want to also add my thanks to the essential workers, the infrastructure workers who are an essential service, who are keeping our water and wastewater services going. So it's really important that people count on that. I know that there's a lot of work involved, and sometimes it's a kind of thing where you don't want people to be at risk, but it is something that needs to be done. And thank you to everyone who's involved in doing that. So please proceed to the resolution,
Yes.
unless there are further comments or questions.
Just before that, is there anything, Jeremy, you'd like to add to that? Is Jeremy there?
No, Councillor Clough, I think you've said it very well. The only thing I'll say is their staff are very dedicated to making sure that our essential services are working well, and that our active transportation buildings are going to be ready and prepared for when hopefully this crisis is lifted at some point. They're doing a great job, and they're following the rules and regulations laid out by Dr. Heather Morrison, and we're providing the proper protective gear that they need if they do have to get into a situation where they are working closer than they need be.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I have a question for Councillor Clough, my colleague in Ward 3. Just the signage coming in town. I know the sign, Jeremy Crosby could probably answer, coming in town. Is that the sign? Remember the information sign we have up, the electronic sign? Is that, I noticed the town, welcome to town of Stratford is there. Is the other sign going up?
I'd say when they're finished their work there, Councillor Glant, the sign will go up as soon as they're finished there, because they have machinery going back and forth, and
okay,
we don't want to do any damage. But it'll be up as soon as we can get it back up, because that's very important we get that up.
Yeah, it'd be nice now to have it with, especially what's going on for information, right?
Yes.
Councillor Glant, they are in the process of actually reinstalling that sign very soon. We've picked a location, and we've got approval to put it back a little closer to the road than we had it before, and they're just getting the foundation in, and we should be getting that connected fairly soon.
Great.
That's great. Great. Fantastic, Jeremy and Gary.
Thank you, Jeremy. The resolution I have is number INC 002-2020, Stratford Public Library Space Lease Agreement Renewal. Whereas the lease agreement with the Parkdale Holding Limited for the provisions of lease of 3,215 square feet of space for the Stratford Library has expired. And whereas the new lease agreement has been proposed for the provision of the current lease space of 3,215 square feet for a term of 5 years commencing April 1st, 2020, at an annual rate of $16 per square foot of gross leasable area. All utilities will be paid by the landlord and reimbursed by the tenants through additional rent. The town will also be responsible for its proportionate cost of landlord's real estate taxes and common area costs. And whereas, in addition to the above, the town shall have first right of refusal on the additional 2,000 square feet in the building at the same net rate and leasing terms as in this lease. The town shall have 1 week's notice to exercise their right to take additional space or to waive their right. Be it resolved that the town accept the terms of the lease agreement submitted by Parkdale Holding Limited in the amount of $16 per rentable square foot for a 5-year term commencing April 1st, 2020, be accepted. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole based on a meeting held on March 30th, 2020. So moved.
I'll second that.
Your Worship, Mayor?
Yes.
Steve, I have a conflict there, so I'm going to abstain from the vote.
Okay. And it was seconded by Councillor Gail McDonald. Thank you. And I noted your conflict, Councillor Gallant. So Councillor Gallant's left the meeting, I guess.
I just have a quick question. The town will also be responsible for its proportionate cost of the landlord's real estate taxes and common area costs. So what does that entail? Common area costs, and so then we pay the taxes on the building?
Yes, Councilor Birch, we would pay our proportionate share of the taxes and the proportionate share of the common area charges. So for instance, if there's lighting in the parking area or lighting on the building, is common area charges. There are certain common area charges that you get involved with all buildings, similar to what we have on our emergency services building.
Okay, all right,
Your worship and Councillor Birch, I think it works out to about $4 a square foot. So the rent's about 20. It's not exactly the same
Okay.
every month, but it's around that amount.
Okay, thanks.
Correct.
And in terms of relative costs, do you know what the relative rate is for most commercial office space in Stratford?
Didn't do a comparison to all space, but it hasn't changed from what we were originally paying for the past several years. So I think they're keeping a good rate with us.
Okay, good, thank you.
We rent, like our company rents, and that rate is an excellent rate.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, thank you.
Yeah. Comparable rate, yeah.
Oh, that's good. Okay, so we've had a mover and a seconder. Any further comments or questions on this resolution? If not, we'll call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried.
That's my report, Your Worship.
Oh, thank you, Deputy Mayor Clow. And I think the library provides a great service, and you know, I think people really appreciate the location and that sort of thing. Sometime in the future, maybe we'll be looking at trying to get a new library, but for the time being, I think we need to maintain this facility as it is.
I agree.
Okay, so we'll move on to accountability and engagement, which is my committee, the committee that I chair. So I do have a resolution. There was no meeting. We will be hoping to have a meeting, April meeting, a virtual meeting using Zoom or similar software. So unless there are any questions on the accountability and engagement file, I'll proceed to the resolution. Okay, so the resolution, oh no, I can't read the resolution, so I'll have to ask my my deputy chair to read the my vice chair, Councillor Burridge, to read the resolution, if you don't mind.
Sure. AE 002 2019 Enforcement and Summary Proceedings Bylaw number 49, revised Schedule A and B. Whereas a new building bylaw number 50 was adopted in March 2020, and whereas Schedule A, the municipal offense ticket, and Schedule B, out of court settlements of the Enforcement and Summary Proceedings bylaw number 49, references the former building bylaw number 32, and must be updated to reflect the new building bylaw number 50. Be it resolved that the attached revised Schedule A, the municipal offense ticket dated April 2020, and Schedule B, out of court settlements dated April 2020 of the Enforcement and Summary Proceedings bylaw number 49, be hereby adopted. So moved.
Do we have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Councillor McDougall.
Any comments or questions on this?
Derek Smith there. These tickets, they cover off anything of the town bylaws, just not building, right?
Councillor Smith, there's an expanded list of bylaws that we're allowed to issue tickets for, including development bylaw and the building bylaw. In the former act, there was a more limited list, but there's an expanded list in the new Municipal Government Act. So we can issue for any bylaw we have now that has enforcement requirements in it are now covered under that summary proceedings bylaw that we have.
And the next question is, if there is a fine levied, does the town receive the fine money, or does that go to the province?
No, we do. We receive the money. There's a $50 surcharge that goes to the court, but the rest comes to the town.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, if not, we'll proceed to the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Contrary minded? Motion carried. Okay, that's my report.
Another resolution, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry. There we go. I'll ask my vice chair again, Councillor Jill Burridge, to read this if she would be so kind.
All right, AE 003-2000, commemorative naming of park after Evelyn Meter. Whereas the town of Stratford received a request from Evelyn Meter's daughter, Laura, to name a park on Saints Crescent in honor of her mother, Evelyn Meter. And whereas Miss Meter's family donated a portion of the land owned by Miss Meter before her death, which more than tripled the size of the parkland on Saints Crescent. And whereas Miss Meter was a dedicated community volunteer and nature lover who planted many trees on the property that was donated. And whereas a resolution was passed by council on March 11th, 2020 to notify members of the public that it intends to name the park after Evelyn Meter, and no objections were received from the members of the public. Be it resolved that the park on Saints Crescent be named Evelyn's Park to commemorate Evelyn Meter's contributions to the community. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Accountability and Engagement Committee from a meeting held on January 16th, 2020. So moved.
We do have a seconder.
Councillor McDougall, I'll second that.
Thank you. I just want to say a couple of words about this motion before we proceed to the vote. Evelyn Meter was a friend of mine, and she was a fine community person. She welcomed us when we first came to Stratford. She was very friendly. She was a Girl Guide leader. She planted trees. Her and her husband were involved in the community. They raised a fine family, and their legacy continues with this this land that was donated. So I just want to pay tribute to this fine woman, and really hope that the park brings a lot of people pleasure, and I think when people use the park, they will know that what a fine woman that Evelyn Meter was. So I just wanted to say that because she really contributed a lot to our community, and is continuing to contribute to our community. Any other comments or questions on this resolution?
I'd just like one little comment, please. The resolution, it says 2000. Should it be 2020? On the very top of the page, AE 003-2000.
The old court officer.
Well.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Do you need a motion for the amendment, or that's okay?
Look where it's a typo. I think we can move it forward. Can we not, Robert?
Yeah, it's just in the name of it, so we can just make that correction.
Okay, with that, if there's no further comments or questions.
Steve, I have just come to recreation, the parks and so on. Just talking to Jeremy. I guess the trees in the park itself, the new park, Evelyn Meter's Park, is going to make a maze of trees for the kids to have fun in it. So it's going to be great, fantastic that way.
Yeah.
So
So those trees are all planted. Those trees are all planted by Evelyn and Rick Meter and their family.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we'll make a maze so the kids can run around in and out, sort of.
That's great. That'll be fun for them. Any other comments or questions? If not, we'll proceed to the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Okay. With that, any other business that anyone would like to put on the table at this time?
I know I'm not scheduled today, but I have some recreation notes if I could speak.
Oh, sure. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Just on the recreation, arts and culture, the youth center programs have been canceled, as everybody is aware. It has been an effort to move programs online. We have had painting and cooking classes online, have linked fitness programs to our town website. Youth center, the youths are keep busy with the youth engagement via online forums. Department has been offering credits or refunds for those affected by the programs closing, so all our programs are affected. We're offering refunds. The playground, skate park, and dog parks are all closed as we do our part to reduce the spread of COVID-19. Of course, the trails are open, and please keep in mind social distance when out walking. And I'm just trying to encourage people to be active. It's time to get outside. Might be a little different this weekend with the snow and rain coming, but just I'm trying to challenge everybody to experience our Fuller's Marsh, but I mean, our social distance. So, but get out for a walk. It's time to get out of the house, small walk or brisk walk. So just try to be healthy. And this time of year when mental health is sort of rising a bit, it's good to get out for a walk and enjoy that fresh air and so on. So I just encourage everybody to keep going.
Great, thank you. Anybody else want to make any comments before we close?
Jeremy Pierce, any comments?
No, I have nothing to add. I think you made great comments and encouraging our community to get out and be active. And it is difficult times right now, but getting out and enjoying some fresh air is good for everybody.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions? Before we close, I'd just like to say that to anyone watching this this meeting online, that we really want to make sure that the operations of your municipal government continue, that we're here to help you in any way we can and to provide any help that we can in anything that you need. We have put a fund in place, which we'll be developing criteria for to access to assist residents and businesses during this difficult time. And so and we do have, I'm not sure if you want to say anything, Wendy Watts, our business and community engagement coordinator, manager, if you want to say anything about our calling program and how that's going. But we do have a program in place to get referrals of anyone who is vulnerable or who lives by themselves or who might appreciate a call from a counselor or from myself or from a member of town staff to just check in and just say hello, just have a sociable call, nothing about town business or anything, but just to be there for someone to speak to. So do you want to say anything about that, Wendy?
Yeah, I think you covered it, Mayor Ogden, but yeah, I think just if anyone's out there, and we're all kind of getting tired, I think, of talking to the same people in our households, or for those that are on their own perhaps as well. And so I would say just reach out to us at the town, and we've got a little bit of a process in place to try and connect you to some other people and help you to have some of those conversations and to lift your spirits a little bit and just have a social conversation.
Thank you. So I'll just close by saying we want people to be optimistic and confident, and you know that there is a municipal government that's here for you and that will assist you in any way we can. So with that, unless anyone else has any final comments, we'll call for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Thank you. So we're now adjourned. So thank you very much.
You guys.